How's it going, everybody? How the hell are you? Welcome back to the Nerdy Jock Talk. I'm the Nerdy Jock, Nick Angle. And yes, Kings of the North, baby! Kings of the North! It's happened! Oh, and it'll never happen again! That's right, Leaf fans. This is the only time that title rings true. We got a lot of hot stuff to talk about. Hockey, mostly. Let's get into it. All right, Game 4 came for the Habs and the Winnipeg Jets. And the Winnipeg Jets, they got swept away by the Montreal Canadiens. And let me tell you, people, listening to Toronto Talk Radio is a giant pain in the butt. Yeah, you guys keep saying that, well, the Leafs' best players didn't show up in the first series and the Jets' best players didn't show up in the second series, and maybe it's the Montreal Canadiens making sure that their best players don't show up. Common denominator and all of that. That's right. Yes, Mark Scheifele wasn't with the Winnipeg Jets the whole series. That's his problem, not anybody else's. That was his choice. The Department of Player Safety didn't shut him down, okay? He shut himself down. It was his call. Everybody knows it. I'm sick and tired of talking about it. All right, going forward, yes, it is going to be a massive test for the Montreal Canadiens going up against either Colorado or the Vegas Golden Knights, which now lead the series 3-2 on overtime, whoopsie. This is a team in Montreal that I'm beginning to start and really dig into and look at. They are playing a brand of hockey that is working for them. And yes, you look back at that series, they're down 3-1 to the Leafs, but it really feels like it was Game 3 for me that was the big turning point. Here's why. Game 3, if you guys all remember, was when Dominic Ducharme made a questionable goaltender interference call, and it really looked like that call came down from, let's say, on high. After that, though, everything seemed to change. Tatar went out. They changed up the lineup. It really looked like he was basically saying to Bergevin, hey, if I'm going to coach this team and if we're going to go down, I'm going to coach it my way. You need to stay the hell out of it. And it just went from there. Game 4, yes, they lost, but it looked like the team really was buying into what Ducharme was selling. And it really felt like finally they had a coach. Somebody was coaching them that nobody else was in there and, yattering around. They just went for it. 4 lines they roll. They all play differently. You've got the Suzuki, Caulfield, Toffoli line, a bit of like water bugs. They buzz around. You've got the Stahl, Perry, and Armia line. That's a big line, man. And like Corey Perry said, they can each put a guy on their back and do their work. It's interesting to watch. I'm not going to say it's fun to watch because, it's defensive hockey. They're there to shut people down. Going into that series, though, whether it's the Vegas Golden Knights, whether it's the Colorado Avalanche, is going to be a hard test. Absolutely. But let's face it, guys, if you're going to win the Stanley Cup, you got to beat good teams. That's just the way it is. Yes, they haven't seen each other all year, and it's going to be new. Will it be a fast series? I don't know. Listening to O-Dog, it might be. They've never seen each other. It could be very quick. It's like, oh, this is what's happening. We're not prepared for it. Or it could be a knockdown, drag-it-out kind of series. Looking at it, I actually think Montreal probably matches up a little bit better with the Vegas Golden Knights. But again, we'll see. Colorado's not out of this yet. This whole thing's not done. But it could be an interesting series if it's Vegas. If it's Colorado, a little bit more speed there, obviously. A little bit more skill. But it's not anything that Montreal hasn't really seen. If you look at Toronto and you look at Winnipeg, those teams are not void of skill. But again, that's why you got to play the games, right? All right, moving on to the other series. The New York Islanders are up on the Boston Bruins. And I know I picked Boston to win, but I'm not going to say that I'm not happy that the New York Islanders are up on the Boston Bruins. It's a little bit happy. The Islanders are just sticking around, man. I don't know what it is about that team, but they are just sticking around. Varlamov had a great game the other day, and man, they that's a little bit like Montreal. You stick around enough and long enough, and you get to maybe an overtime and a puck bounce. This team, it's sneaky. It's sneaky. The other series, though, is done, obviously, in Carolina and Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah, that's done. It was over pretty quickly. I thought Carolina maybe had a shot. maybe I'm just not giving Tampa Bay enough credit. I mean, those guys, they're really good. Their power play is really good. They did seem to get onto the power play a little bit more often than I thought, but that's another issue altogether. Whether it's Boston or the Islanders going up against the Tampa Bay Lightning, I do hope the Islanders get through, mostly because they're the least penalized team. So 5-on-5, I'd like to see what they do against Tampa Bay, because when Tampa Bay gets on the power play, I mean, it's just lethal. It's insane. It's scary to watch, and I can't imagine being a player on the other side of that. All right, really quick, the refereeing in the NHL playoffs is abysmal, really. There's no other way to say it. I don't know how else to describe it. I have refereed, granted, for 14, 15-year-olds, but it's not rockets. I mean, we can agree that it's not rocket science. Yes, it is difficult because these guys are moving at a certain speed, a very high rate of speed, and you have to make decisions in a split second. You are making judgment calls. However, when there are two guys on that ice that can make the call and somebody gets tripped with the puck at center ice, like happened in the Colorado-Vegas series, I feel like that call's pretty easy to make. And I feel like there's two guys on the ice for a reason. One of them's got to see it. I don't know if it's a hierarchy thing. I don't know if it's like, well, if he's on this side of the red line, it's your call. If he's on this side of the red line, it's my call. The standard keeps moving, if you will, for the NHL referees. I don't understand any other way to say it. Maybe just leave the same refs for a series so that the players can get used to it and they at least know what to expect. I feel like that might at least alleviate some of the issues. Moving on to baseball and the Toronto Blue Jays. Woof, not a good start against the White Sox after coming off a rough outing against the Houston Astros. Pitching. Yeah, it's not even starting pitching. It's kind of the bullpen, and I don't even know if it's like management's fault. There's been so many injuries, maybe a little bit their fault, but there's so many injuries right now in that bullpen. I feel like the Jays have to be up like 6 or 7-1. It's still fun to watch. I mean, you still always feel like they're a couple of swings away. They didn't do a very good job in the last game in terms of their bats. They did strand a fair amount of runners, but I'm sure they'll pick it up at some point. Pitching is pitching. They're gonna get some pitching every now and then. As long as they keep those bats going, they at least give themselves a chance. So we'll see, moving on, how it's all gonna go. Sticking with pitching, Gerrit Cole sidestepped a question the other day about whether or not he used spider tack. Well, he didn't so much sidestep it as he stumbled through it in a question that was really a yes or a no. I don't understand how you sat there and as a reporter, listen to that, whatever that was, and not followed it up with, that's a yes or no question. I don't understand how you don't get the question. Look, baseball is going to start, cracking down on these pitchers. They're going to start checking baseballs randomly, apparently. Gerrit Cole seems to be like, well, if that's something that Major League Baseball wants to talk about, we can have a discussion. What do you mean we can have a discussion? Guys, baseball players have known it for years. The Major League Baseball Players Association has protected it. Baseball knows that these things are happening and they're not doing anything about it. The integrity of the game, I feel like that's funny though. Because the integrity of baseball, is there really integrity of baseball? I mean, really? When you look at like the steroid era, when they knew it was happening, but they still let it go, they didn't say anything, and then things started to come out, and then they cracked down on it. Like, you knew it was happening. Like, you knew the Houston Astros were cheating. You knew that. And you did nothing. And then when you caught them, you didn't really do anything. Integrity of baseball, I feel like there is none. Which is why it's sometimes hard to watch as a sport, because you're like, wow, man, does anyone care about this game? Or all right, guys, that's a quick one from me. Thanks so much for checking it out. Hit that like button if you like this video. Smack that subscribe if you want to hear more about videos coming out. And guys, just, always remember, it's always game time, baby. Let's go!